Okay. Happy to be here on this wonderful Wednesday at the near the end of Financial Literacy Month on a financial well-being topic. We made it. I'm excited. I'm also just honestly happy to be back. It's been a little bit of a break from Good Lounge events. For those who maybe I have not had an opportunity to meet yet, or you not followed one of our prior sessions, my name is Janet Pope, and I'm the founder of the Good Lounge. The Good Lounge is a nonprofit that I started in 2021 to help amplify access to physical, financial, and emotional well-being resources to support women, people of color, and the LGBTQ plus community. The Good Lounge works with organizations, experts, and leaders to broker connections and share tools that elevate diverse communities. For more information, feel free to check out thegoodlounge.org/about. Today, I'm really excited about the topic. I know I personally am tired of the emails and the text messages and have wondered, how can I make sure I protect myself? I know I've had more conversations than I want to count to others about how they can protect themselves, and financial scams seem to be on the rise. I'm excited to explore this challenge and how we can further protect our investments with Ken, Nero, and Brandi Gamble. Do you want to say hi to the people?
Hey, everybody.
How you doing? How's everybody doing?
Welcome. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about who you all actually are and why you're perfect for this particular topic. So Ken Nero is the CEO of IKON Business Group and a technology evangelist focused on providing small to medium-sized businesses with customized technology solutions and personalized support. While other IT firms focus on tech support, IKON Business Group focus on the human element to deliver personalized customer service. Ken implements industry best practices to monitor and protect IT environments. And can I just say, New York is in the house?
Yes, that's correct. The Knicks. Yes, thank you.
Anything else you want to add that I might have missed, Ken, about your background? I know we're talking cybersecurity a little bit today. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, I think you did it. You covered it perfectly. The company's been around now for 28 years, I believe, since '96, and a lot of what we're doing is cybersecurity and preventing a lot of businesses get scammed. We're a B2B company, so we're dealing with a lot of scams that happen on the business level as well.
Absolutely. Got it. Perfect. Okay. And so if people have questions in the audience for Ken, be sure to ask those questions. We'll have an opportunity to take questions from the audience at the end here. So Brandi Gamble is the CEO of MoneySMART, a financial education platform that provides empowering concepts and strategies for her clients to make smarter money choices. Don't we all need smarter money choices?
Yes.
In an industry where women are underserved and underrepresented, Brandi serves as a managing partner of Secure Wealth Builders. She runs a successful financial services agency and trains other professional people nationwide on how to establish thriving financial services businesses. Her holistic approach to financial services has proven to increase her agency's clients' confidence, and knowing her team has added the core services needed to have a solid financial plan, I think makes us all feel like we're in a better world. Brandi's the co-author of Design Your Wealth Mindset, where she partners with 4 other financial professionals, and they call that entity the exit strategy. So guidelines, principles, and strategies for real women are what it's all about for Brandi. And Brandi and her husband live in Atlanta, Georgia, and have 6 children. And can I say Philly's in the house? Would that be fair?
Philly is in the house, yes.
New York versus Philly.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Good stuff. Okay. And we want to give a shout out to your husband, George. I like the name George. I have a father named George, a brother named George, a nephew named George. So we like Georges.
George
Shout
is
out
a
to
good
George.
Awesome.
Good deal. Okay. So as always, start filling in those questions or just say hi in the chat. We'd love to know who's on and where maybe you're joining from. Let's dive in with our first question. I did want to give a little bit of context, and I'll be honest, I did not practice maybe the one thing I should have practiced, which was sharing my screen. So let me see if I can do that quickly. And if not, we'll keep going. Share screen. Which screen is always the question. More screens than I dare count. So we'll say this screen. And someone will have to tell me, looks like that worked.
You did it.
Okay. Very good. I'm in 2024, screen sharing. All right. So one of the as I was doing just a little bit of, I'll call it light research, looking into some data points around this particular topic, I really wanted to understand, like, how many millions of dollars are we actually talking about in terms of loss to scams, and maybe what were sort of the top types of frauds that were catching people or that people were reporting on. And this data was really, really interesting, reported from the Federal Trade Commission. I was surprised at the number of reports, to be honest, because this is 1 year's worth of data. This is just 2023. And then also a little surprised at the $1 billion lost. But Ken, you're much closer to this topic. I'd be curious from your perspective. I mean, clearly this data points to financial scams are at an all-time high. From your perspective, what are the most common tactics used by scammers to target individuals, and how can people identify a potential scam? And then, of course, we want to know any tips that you might have to help us protect ourselves from these scams.
Sure. So scams are usually seen across different mediums. You have people that may call you. You may get texts. You may get emails. You may get false websites. The 3 most common areas are the first 3 I said: emails, texts, and calls. Emails still predominantly the most ways people are getting scammed. Even the phone calls use emails, and the texts use emails sometimes as well. But emails is still number 1 way frauds are committed to businesses and to people. There's been a big jump in social media as well, and phone calls, people getting phone calls as well. And AI is not making it better, because AI is making a lot of the tools that the scammers use a lot more proficient.
Yeah.
Can you give a couple examples of like what you're seeing from an AI perspective?
Just the phishing emails are getting a lot more sophisticated and real. Even the calls that could be made by using AI to make it sound like somebody. You can make, like, they could say like Michael Jordan's calling you, or the president's calling you to get you to donate money, and it's really a scammer. That's some of the ways people are using AI. They're using fake voices and fake videos to scam people. That's going to become a lot more prevalent, because people are just not up to date in regards to a lot of these scams. You're seeing it on Instagram now, where they're using different memes to make jokes on certain people saying certain things and stuff like that. But it's going to become a lot more prevalent, and people are not going to be able to tell the difference between a real person and the fake stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, that example's scary, right? I think the first time I heard someone talk about this one, they were saying how basically, and I've been playing around with Gen AI. I wasn't the first group to jump on Chat GPT, but I have since it was launched, and now we're a year into it. Not even a year into it yet, actually. Coming up on a year, and the ability to leverage Gen AI to, like, I actually ran one of the webinars from the Good Lounge through something that could basically tell me like a summary of the webinar. And I was impressed by the fact that it could get down to the tone. Like, I asked, what was the tone of this webinar? And it said, what was the tone? And I knew it was correct because I was part of the webinar. So I was really, really impressed by that. And then, of course, like, things got really interesting when the Drake song got created, right? And it sounded like Drake and wasn't Drake.
Yeah.
But to your point, anything that can be used for good can also potentially be used for harm. And the first instance of a scam is the one that you mentioned, where people were grabbing audio and able to generate like a help plea and send it to someone's parent or grandparent, and it sounds just like them needing money. And that is some really, really scary stuff when you get into the technology's ability to sound like you and ask people that you know for money.
Yeah. And I would say the biggest tip out of everything, there's a lot of things you can do, right? But the biggest tip is, anytime anybody calls you, like, a lot of people will call and say, hey, this is, so a lot of times what the hackers, the scammers do, they do research. They may have gotten access to your credit report, and you may not have noticed that. They know some information about you. They'll know what accounts you have. They'll say, hey, we're calling about your, this actually happened to one of our techs. Her uncle is actually a fraud inspector for the New York City Police Department. Somebody called him and said, hey, you didn't pay your Apple credit card, and we're going to cut the card off if you don't pay it now. They had him on the phone for an hour while he walked down to Staples and bought $300 in gift cards. They convinced him that he only could pay through gift cards, and he went and got the gift cards and paid the $300 because he just felt that they knew so much information about him, it had to be real, right? And he works for a fraud exam. He's a inspector for fraud for the New York City Police Department. He got caught. You have to, anybody that calls you, take the information down, hang up. Anybody that calls you, emails, texts you, social media, don't just go by any link they give you. You hang up and you call your company to see if it's real or not. That's the first biggest tip, is verify everything. Don't just assume whoever's calling you just because they have information on you. Say thank you, hang up the phone, and then call. If it's your bank, hey, I just got a call. Was it you guys who called me and stuff like that? Verify everything. That's the number one way you can really stop a lot of scammers.
Yeah, and I mean, this tip is really, really important, right? Like, I've gotten into heated conversations with people that I care about and want to protect on how, like, they'll say, oh, but the logo's on the email, or they called me and they knew this information. And I've been trying to convince, like, hey, that doesn't mean anything. If somebody calls you from your bank and they say they're from your bank and they're trying to check a fraudulent charge, I say just hang up, turn the card over on your credit card, and call back the number on that card, and then talk to someone, because you just never know now. Some of this stuff is generational, and we're just not used to people kind of doing harm in this way. And people will talk to anybody, but I don't want to go so far. I'm maybe too far. I don't trust anybody. I'm hanging up on everybody.
Unfortunately,
that's
zero trust.
Claiming to be organization.
You're in the right mindset.
Maybe I was in New York too long, Ken. I'm not trusting anybody. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty scary out there. But that's a good tip to not take the phone call and call the number on the back of your card, and to be really careful about that. So if people have other tips or things that you've done, I know purchasing and scams around purchasing are on the rise. And I actually, to your point around who's getting tricked, a friend of mine in preparation for this discussion today shared with me it was a YouTube clip, and I can probably put it in the show notes. A police officer who got tricked in an investment scam around timeshare. And I think there was a little bit of, bias of like, I'm a police officer, I'm really smart, this can't happen to me. And I think because of that, is the halo effect type of bias, he just didn't feel like it could happen to him. He's a really smart individual, sure, and caught bad guys for a living, right? And so just continue to send more and more money, feeling like, well, this can't be happening to me. Like, I'm too smart to fall for this. So all of this is really interesting.
If I could jump in, Janet, a little. So we talked earlier this week, and I thought for a moment, like, am I oblivious to what's happening out there? Right? I told you guys, I was like, I don't hear all this stuff that you're talking about. But here's what happened in the last couple of days. It's amazing when you're introduced to an idea, you start to see it all the time, right? So I went and I just researched my email. I was just kind of looking through, and then I started getting all these text messages. Like, I was like, maybe I've always gotten them, but I'm such in the mindset that if I don't recognize it, I don't pay attention to it. I guess that was part of it. But I had emails, I had text messages, I had things that had come my way. And I was like, okay, maybe this really is something that we need to be really focused on. That, people who are gullible or, who are, desiring to have somebody give them, a couple $1,000s for nothing, maybe they will, take notice to these things. But I think it's important that we're smart about, what it is we're getting. We just have to use our intuition. If it's too good to be true, it might be, like we just have to start to think through those things. I saw that there were a couple things. People will send me messages. Again, I just don't even pay attention to them anymore, but will send messages like, go ahead and claim your iPad, and, silly stuff. And it's like, I know I didn't order an iPad or I didn't win one, so I just don't even pay attention. I would just encourage everyone, just be smart about what you're looking at. Don't click on any link or any email or just be really smart about what you're seeing. It's unfortunate that things do look very legit these days. They get the email addresses that look very legit. But it's I love what both of you are saying is make sure you verify before before you do anything. Don't be so quick to click on something. Don't be so quick to accept, messages or emails, but verify it first. So just wanted to jump in. Sometimes even myself, who's in the industry, that, it is very regulated, but people get scammed all the time. I saw that investment number on there. People are getting scammed with investments. Make sure that you are, verifying the companies that people you're talking to are connecting you with. That's would be my recommendation there. So,
and you'd be surprised how many businesses are getting scammed. We knew a client that wired out millions of dollars because somebody sent them an email saying, hey, change the wire instructions to this. Somebody they dealt with said, change the wire instruction to this. They changed it. It was actually a scammer, and they wired the money to the new wiring information. They wired the money to the new information, and they could have just simply verified that information. They could have called the person on the phone and said, did you send me an email about changing the wire instructor? And the person would have said no, and they wouldn't have went through that whole ordeal. So some of this stuff is not even technology; it's just common sense, like you were saying, Brandi, that prevents a lot of this stuff from happening. We live in a digital world now. Everything's online, and one of the drawbacks is that it's just making it easier. Like my mother never, for all these years, my mother's like 86 years old, 85. She never had her banking tied to the computer, and she just did it. And the other day, she almost got tricked, almost scammed herself. But she was offline for all these years, so never had to worry about that. But as soon as she got online, she almost fell, privy to a scam. So, it's a concept of cybersecurity called zero trust. Don't trust anybody.
Absolutely. Yeah. I sometimes like I said, I think I take that too far, but I'm checking every email sender before I click on things. I'm, the text messages right now about packages are getting a little out of control. And I'm like, did I order a package?
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. Check, and check. Verify and check. Okay, yeah. Brandi, let's shift to you. So a couple tips, and again, if you have more tips, please share them in the chat. We'd love to see what other things you all are doing to protect yourselves. But beyond protecting our funds, what proactive steps can we take to make sure that the money that we have is really working for us? And where can we put our money to make sure that it's further protected?
Yeah. So the first thing I would say is making sure that you're working with someone that is licensed, that has credibility. There's a lot of options out there these days of people, claiming to be able to help you do X, Y, and Z, but they are not necessarily regulated by the states or the government, right? So make sure that you are checking credentials, right? People should have licenses that they can share numbers with you and, be able to verify that. But what I would say is, in trying to figure out how to protect your money, talking to someone is number one, because sometimes we're out here trying to figure out the game of money, because it is a game, to be honest. We just need to know how to play it. We're trying to figure it out on our own, but we don't have the guidance. So I think having that guidance is important. But also, once you have that guidance, I think you being knowledgeable is important as well, right? Making sure that I hear a lot from my clients, I just want somebody to tell me what to do. Like, just tell me where to put my money, and I am an educator. Okay. So I'm not an educator by training. I'm not a teacher, but I educate when it comes to money. So I try to get my clients to understand what it is that we're setting up. So you need to have the education, and that helps you quite a bit to avoid the scams. Because if you're educated and you know what you're getting into, you know how products work, then you're less likely to fall, subject to these kinds of scams as well. But here are some things that you can think about where you can put your money to protect it. I'm going to say protection from taxes is very important. I think the IRS is probably the biggest scammer of them all, because they definitely try to get as much as they possibly can out of us. And I would say, don't avoid paying taxes, right? We just finished tax day at the beginning of this week, right? Don't avoid paying your taxes. That is by far what I'm saying here, but make sure you're paying your taxes and not paying more than your fair share. So how do you do that? There are ways that you can put your money into places to help protect it from taxes, called tax advantage strategies. And in these tax advantage strategies, what it'll do for you is set you up so in the future, you don't have to pay taxes in, let's say, retirement. All right. So think about a Roth IRA. If you guys have ever been introduced to a Roth concept, some of us even have Roth 401ks now at our jobs. That'll help us to put in after tax money. So then we're protecting ourselves from future tax increases. I would also say, there are ways that you can use insurances to protect your money. A lot of people aren't aware that you can use life insurance to actually build and protect your wealth. And those are definitely options where instead of investing with a person, you find a company, right? A well regulated, a well-known, a well-protected company that you can put your money in, but also be protecting your money also from things like even market risk. Insurance is a great way to get your money protected, even when the market is in its volatile state, which we're in right now. Guys, we're in an election year, so we got to be protecting our money from when the market is starting to go down. So 2 things I just mentioned today, right? The Roth IRA, that's going to protect you from taxes. And then insurances is also going to protect you from taxes, but in the future, but it's also going to protect you from the market declines if you have the right type of insurance. So those are 2 things that we could be considering as we're looking to put our money away in places that will be smarter than maybe what we're doing today.
Yeah, those are good tips. And, I got to be careful. I feel like I'm a little young to think about retirement, but at the same time, not too young to be planning for it. But I think when I want it to start is maybe where my number's a little bit off.
Mm-hmm.
But all of those tips that you're giving are, great as we're thinking about our longer term plan and our short term plan and our investments as well. So I think those are some really good things.
If I could say, Janet, it's never too early to start planning for retirement. I don't care how young you are. I have my 16 and 18-year-old planning for retirement right now, right? The longer you give your money time to work for you, the better off you are, and the less you have to put away to prepare for each month when you're putting away. My 18-year-old, she can put away $100 a month, and she will probably have more money in her retirement account by the time she's ready to retire than someone who's 40 putting away $500 a month. You understand what I'm saying? So the more time you give your money to work for you, the better off you'll be. So it is never too early. Start as soon as you're thinking about it. That's when you should be doing it. So
perfect. Good tip. Good tip. So what's one thing, maybe we'll start with Ken, that you would want people to consider as they explore their relationship with cybersecurity or trying to make sure that they're protecting themselves online, financially specifically, to make sure that they're moving from an intellectual concept? Because sometimes I think we know what to do in theory, but to actually have some sustainable financial well-being practices around this. Any thoughts on moving from understanding something conceptually to actually having a daily practice or weekly practice or annual practice on this?
I think from a mentality shift is just being aware that everything you're doing can be compromised, right? You just got to be just changing that type of mentality where you're walking around, you're online thinking that mostly everything you're doing here is good. Just consider that everything you're doing can be monitored and compromised, right? So take that type of mindset. And then you have to put together kind of like a supply chain of controls around what you're doing so that you're protected, meaning that you need to have the concept of checking your credit. Maybe I check my credit once a week. I probably overdo it, but checking your credit to make sure there's no inquiries from sources. Having the type of protection on your web browsers and email protection so that your stuff can be protected against phishing websites and things of that nature. I just think you have to understand that you can't just turn a computer on or a device on nowadays and feel like you're safe. You have to incorporate different third-party softwares and controls to be safe nowadays, unfortunately. And you have to just have that mindset of listen, anything I'm using online can be compromised.
Yeah. Say a little bit more as someone who travels a lot and hops on airport free Wi-Fi and airplane Wi-Fi and what are your thoughts on that and people who might be taking a quick check of their bank account on airport free Wi-Fi as they're headed out of town? Any ways to better protect themselves? Is this an absolute no from your perspective? Or
yeah, I mean, and the person who should be on here is my wife, because she's ridiculous when it comes to this. I call her KGB because she doesn't trust anything. But when using Wi-Fi and stuff like that, you should use a VPN. Apple has something called Apple has some stuff built into its new iOS that's almost like a built-in VPN, where if you're using Safari or their mail application, they hide your IP address, so it eliminates you having to use a VPN. I don't know if Android has anything like that, but just always use a VPN. Don't jump onto the free Wi-Fi, because the stuff is dangerous. It's like going somewhere and leaving your door unlocked when you jump onto that stuff. So at the best practice, don't do it. Use your phone's hotspot and use a VPN to protect yourself.
Good tip. All right, Brandi, for you, same question. What's one thing you would want people to consider as they explore their relationship, we'll say, with finances and investments from your perspective, to move from understanding something intellectually to actually having a sustainable financial well-being practice?
Yeah, absolutely. It might be a bit contradictory to what Ken is saying, because Ken is saying, look, you got to do your research. You got to make sure you're checking everything out. What I'm going to say is you got to do something. You got to actually take action, right? So we can't let our fear for, of all these things that are happening in the world, we can't let the fear that something could happen to my money stop us from moving forward. What I would suggest is, again, if you are one of those people that are very technical and you need the information, you need to do your research beforehand, I would say you need to come learn how systems and plans and products work. You don't have to be a professional like myself in servicing clients, but if you have a clear understanding for yourself, it will help you to take action. Nothing works in my industry, in the world of finances, if you don't do something with the information, right? If you're just sitting on it and you're nervous about moving forward, you will never get to where you're trying to go. So I do think it's important to do what Ken is saying, but I also think it's important that people do something with the information. So that's the one thing that I would say. Once you've got in your mind that you're ready to, make smarter money choices and you're ready to take action, you just got to do it. You just got to move. And again, being connected in with people who are well-trained, well-knowledgeable. And I would say you're not, within my company, you never give me any money, right? So no money comes to me. I am not, handling your money. I'm connecting you with the providers that are going to take your money and do the right things with it. And they are all vetted A+ companies. They're all regulated by the SEC and the NAIC. So you want to make sure you're connected in with people that will, make your money work for you with trusted providers. So anyways, do something is what I would say. Don't just sit on the information.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think that's why I like this question, because sometimes we can think and we can
Paralyze
intellectualize,
ourselves. Paralyze ourselves.
actually take action, right? So that's good to just make sure people don't spend 3 years thinking about what the plan should be to invest more and actually make an investment, right?
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
I wanted to add,
go ahead.
The main thing is this I don't want you to get paralysis and you're scared to use your devices, but you have to educate yourself.
Yeah.
So my favorite part, resources. I love a good knowledge share on tools, resources. You've given a couple already. If you could share some resources that we should read, watch, or listen to because it further informed your perspective on how to protect yourself from a financial perspective or further invest, I would love us to share this with the audience. We'll start with you, Brandi.
Oh, with me. Awesome. So yeah, there are a couple of books. First, I will say one resource is Design Your Wealth Mindset. Definitely pick it up, guys. It's a book that my team has recently launched. We've gone bestseller, and it is really changing lives. It gives information about ways to make smarter money choices. So I would say Design Your Wealth Mindset, pick it up first. But there are some other options. As I mentioned earlier about protecting yourselves from future tax increases, there is a book called Tax-Free Retirement. That is by Patrick, let me make sure I got his name right, Patrick Kelly. And then there's another book about, again, taxes and making sure you're thinking through the right products that'll help you to do that, called The Power of Zero. The Power of Zero. And The Power of Zero is by, man, his name skips my mind, but let me get the right name. Hold on. His name skips my mind. How is that possible? I will get his name for you, but The Power of Zero. And I'll get his name. But that book right there is a short read, easy read, but it's packed full of information about products that will help you to develop a zero tax bracket retirement. Okay, so it's all about, again, protecting ourselves from taxes, but making sure we're making smart money choices as we're preparing for that.
Okay, good tips. And then Ken?
So I gave three links that I think will be helpful. One is how to shop online safely, which it's a website that gives you tips on how to shop online safely. Another one I gave was fraud protection, different tools you could use to help yourself from fraud protection. And the third one was from the consumer ftc.gov, what to do if you're scammed. A lot of people don't know what they should do if they get scammed. And those links I provided in the chat, and I think Janet could share it out to everybody. That can give you some.
Can you reshare them with me when I got kicked out? Yeah, I lost them. So
no problem. I'll do it right now.
Perfect. Thanks.
And the author of that book is David McKnight. I don't know why his name escaped my mind, but David McKnight, The Power of Zero.
Perfect. Okay. Great. Let's see if there are any questions from the audience, and I'll share these resources from Ken. Any questions? Feel free to share those in the chat. Let me also just check LinkedIn.
The last one's a little bit long, but
I don't think I see anything on LinkedIn. Okay. And then YouTube.
There's a tip. I don't know if did this come from you, Ken, where Nico is saying, teach them how to block numbers and add email addresses to spam?
No, I think that came from one of the viewers.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I think that's a great tip. Our kids are the ones that are using this technology, at least far more than me. I don't know about you. Well, I'm sure not Ken, but the adults, probably don't use it as much as they're using it. And they're going to be the ones that are going to be gullible, right, to these things. So we really do have to teach our children. I think those are great tips. Thank you, Nico, for sharing that.
Even more important, people don't realize stealing kids' data is worth more than adults on the dark web, because a kid may not know until he's 18 that his stuff has been compromised. So a person can have many years of using a kid's data, and they don't have no idea that their ID was compromised or stolen. And so on the dark web, they have pricing for what they sell information for, and kids' information is more valuable than adults.
Wow.
Yeah, that makes sense, and it's scary, right? When you think about how many kids are on devices doing things. Yeah, interesting. Okay. I don't see any questions in the chat here. Just making sure I'm not missing anything. I know there were a couple other things that we want to plug. Do you want to talk a little bit about upcoming exit strategy workshops? Right?
Yeah, absolutely. So tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will have a Power Hour workshop where we're going to be talking about the concepts and strategies in the book, which is Design Your Wealth Mindset. And what this is going to do for those who join, let me take a step back. You introduced me and you talked about how the book helps real women. I'm surprised you didn't ask me, what is a real woman? I'm surprised you didn't do that, right? So REAL, REAL, REAL stands for ready to elevate to another level. Ready to elevate to another level. So we help women who have that mindset and they're ready to do something, right? They're ready to take their money to the next level, or ready to change their mindset. And sometimes we're ready, but we don't know how to do it, right? So what the book does is help you to uncover what those things are you need to do for your life. And the workshop is going to be helping us bring that book to life. So I'm excited to share that information with everyone. I hope that you all can join. And if you can't join, share it with somebody else because it could bless their lives as well. And us all making smarter money choices is for the good, right, of us, our community, and of course, the family and people that we touch every day. So as we get information, we should be willing to share that and give it to everyone else. So I hope that, people can join. The link is in the chat. So again, it is Design Your Wealth Mindset Power Hour. You'll see that tiny URL that you guys can go and get your access, and hopefully we'll see you in the room.
Awesome. That's good. Anything you want to make sure we share a plug or plug for you, Ken? There is a question. Any cybersecurity companies that you would recommend? I think we want to recommend your company.
It depends. We really, our market is really K-12 schools. And really now we've kind of specialized in a lot of schools. It's kind of our market. So we're not probably a good fit for B2C needs or B2B people in general. We've kind of focused on that market only, but we can definitely recommend, if you're looking for, we know a bunch of cyber security companies, depending on your needs, that we can recommend. So you can always reach out and we can give you a good recommendation. But we kind of focused our practice on really just dealing with schools.
Got it. Okay, good. I think there are probably some educators in the audience, so you still may get a phone call.
Anybody can reach out. We're always willing to help any way we can.
Awesome. Another question just came in. Is there a financial product that you think everyone should have? So it used to be mint.com, but now that's gone. I used to love a good free financial tool that helped me budget, and it aggregated all my different credit card information, etc. But now Mint's gone, and I'm sad because the thing that replaced it is not as good. Do you have a financial product that you say everybody should have?
Okay, so when she said product, or Tony, I don't know if Tony's a female, I think it's a female. I was thinking something different. You were thinking more of a resource. So Tony, I'm not sure if you're referring to a resource or to a product itself. But when you mentioned product, what came to mind is a product that I would say, I think it really depends. Everybody's situation is different. Everybody has different financial needs. Our family structures are different. So it's hard to say that one product, right, is everybody should have it. But there is one product that works really well for most people. I don't want to say, Tony, it's the best product for everyone and that everybody should have it, but it works really well for most people. It's a product that will give you growth for your money. It'll give you safety, meaning that as your money is growing, you never have to worry about loss. It's a product that gives you tax advantages. So as you put money in it, it will grow for you tax deferred, and you can take it out tax free. And it's a product that gives you protection on your income. So God forbid you can't work anymore due to an illness, you can use the money that's in this plan for your living expenses. It'll give you protection on your life in the event you pass away too early, right? So there's a death benefit associated, and it will give you protection on even your retirement. Now, that's a lot in one product, but that sounds like a pretty good product that most people can benefit. I'm sure you guys can agree, right? This product is called the Indexed Universal Life, IUL. If you've ever heard IUL, it's being used a lot on social media. I hear it all the time on TikTok. You want to make sure you got the right people that are helping you to design these products, because it can be designed in a way that's not beneficial. But the IUL, it's one of those plans that has so many aspects to it. Not even tell you guys all the aspects, right? Those are just kind of the high level. If there was one product that I would say you should look into to find out if it's a good solution for you, the IUL would be that product.
I have one. I'm not a financial advisor, but Rocket Money really is good.
Rocket Money's good.
Rocket Money's good because it really, you can cancel, like it tells you all your expenses, and you can cancel subscriptions right from the app. So me and my friends, we've been passing around that recommendation of Rocket Money as a product that can really help you cut expenses and manage expenses. You take that savings and invest it with Brandi.
Exactly, right? It's definitely a good resource. It really is a good resource. You know, one thing that Rocket Money does that you mentioned, it'll help you kind of cancel things. Do you know that most of our like loose money, we don't carry cash around as much as we used to, right? Mm-hmm. Our loose money goes to these subscriptions that we don't even know that we have, right? And
Mhm.
Rocket Money helps you to kind of identify those subscriptions, and you can just go and cancel it through the app. I think that's a pretty cool tool to be able to do that. Yep.
Yeah, or worse, some of these double, like two people in the same household have Netflix accounts.
Right.
Now, sure, you have to. They canceling that. You can't share no more.
Well, the same household. You're in the same household. You
You can share, yeah.
don't need
Don't
separate
need it.
accounts.
And Netflix gives you like 6 licenses. Share it with your cousins and share, like let the family in general, right? I mean, okay.
I might
All
be
right,
looking
guys.
for a Netflix endorsement one day, so I'm not. I go there. But I hear you. We want to save money everywhere we can.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the Wealth Mindset workbook?
Yeah, absolutely. So the workbook is a supplement to the book, right? So the book will give you all the detail, the ins and outs of making smarter money choices and taking action and things like that. The workbook is actually doing the work. So, I said earlier, you got to do something. Reading the book is one thing, right? But what are you going to do with that information? So what the workbook does is helps you to start taking action, start to actually identify what your relationship is with money, start to maybe reflect on why you make the choices you make, and then it gives you even tools like a spending plan, being able to, we call this a budget, a spending plan, right? So being able to start budgeting your money in the right ways, making sure you got your money in the right buckets, being intentional about paying yourself first, like all those things. So actually doing the work, the workbook will help you to kind of start that process. The workbook is called the GPS workbook, or your GPS workbook. And it is based on the best-selling book, Design Your Wealth Mindset. Thank you for plugging that. Yeah.
No problem. No problem.
You got to actually do the work.
So what I would like to say to the audience, and I want to definitely thank you both and give you an opportunity for any like 30-second thing you want to make sure, because I like one tangible thing that we just want to make sure people remember, if they can't remember everything that we learned today. But before I go there, I would like to say to the audience, we will be giving away a session, 2 sessions actually, with Brandi. So if you know someone who needs some financial guidance, and your nephew, your friend, feel free to share this webinar, and we will be looking for comments, just hey, I'm interested, and there will be a giveaway at some point. I'll probably give it a week just to get all the shares that people want to do, and we'll just randomly select someone to give away a session with Brandi. So I did want to plug that, make sure people are aware. Again, I know this usually gets a lot of views after the fact, so we want to give people an opportunity to share it with their mom, with their nephew, with their friend, with their husband, with their wife, with their spouse, whoever you feel could benefit from a free session with Brandi. We will be giving that away as a part of this particular session and event. So just say in the chat, hey, I'm interested. And tell whoever you're sending it to share that in the chat, and we'll randomly select.
We have a giveaway too. I didn't forget about the.
It's not a giveaway. What is it?
We'll be giving away one. We have security awareness training that trains people on how to protect themselves against different types of email scams and things of that nature. And it actually automatically sends you fake emails. If you click on it, it tells you that you clicked on the email. I get caught all the time. Start with the security is pretty good. We'll give away to one person a free 6 months of training, which is worth a couple, good amount of money, a couple $1,000. So we'll be giving that away to one person, and I'll send you, Janet, how that person can access it, how they can get access to that.
Perfect. Okay. So in the comments, if you want that free cybersecurity training, is that the right training?
Yep.
Security training, 6 months worth. Put, hey, I want the cybersecurity training in the comments. If you're interested in the free financial session with Brandi, these are invaluable resources we want to make sure we're giving away to people in need. I'm looking forward to the financial training. Again, we'll randomly select based on views even after the fact. You don't have to be on live we'll just randomly select in about a week. I'll do a drawing, and we will announce the winners of these 2 giveaways. Thanks so much for that from both of you. And then final last words. Any last word you want to share?
Go for it, Ken. I'll let you go first.
Just verify and don't trust anything before you verify it.
Ken's got everybody frightened.
You know what? I realize that's what we have to do in the cybersecurity world. We got to scare people to do things.
Scare straight. And how can the people find you, Ken, if they do have a B2?
I'll drop my email in the chat.
Okay.
It's Ken at IKON Business Group. They can email me.
Perfect.
And they can reach me that way. But unfortunately, it's a world where we're fighting. People are complacent, and fear is what gets people to move in the cybersecurity world. So not my normal way of doing things, but people have to understand that it's a lot going on out here, and they have to be a little bit taking off their shoes and like, okay, I can't work the way that I've normally been working.
Yeah, that video you sent me, somebody lost what, $160,000?
$160,000, and the bank wouldn't get it from Chase, and the bank would not give the person the money back.
Yeah, that's scary. So
that's scary.
I might stay off that airport Wi-Fi. Brandi, how can the people find you? Any last words?
Absolutely. So you can find me at theexitstrategy5.com. So that's our website. You can also find me via email. My email address is Gamble Brandi. That's Gamble, Gamble, Brandi with an I, @gmail.com. I am on social media. So under Brandi Gamble, you'll see my picture. So I've got the gray hair. So definitely look for that. And I'll even give my phone number to you guys. I don't mind getting phone calls. My number is 404-750-5887. Again, 404-750-5887. And what I would say, so I want you guys to understand what you can get in this session that the Good Lounge is going to be giving away. Okay, so number one, sometimes people make enough money, they just don't know what to do with it, right? They're not managing it well. And then there are times when people don't make enough money, right? And they need to figure out how better to manage what they have, how to make their ends meet. We help with that. In this session, you'll also get to learn about how to build an emergency fund, how to get out of debt. So we'll talk about some strategies on getting out of debt if that's an issue for you. Proper protection plans, we'll be covering that. Building a wealth strategy for yourself, but taking into account inflation and taxes. I spend a lot of time talking about taxes because I think we should pay our fair share. I just don't want us to pay more than our fair share. So I definitely spend time on that. And then finally, preserving your wealth. That's going to be an area that we focus on as well. So there's six areas or 6 steps to financial independence that I cover in our sessions. And there are 2 sessions because we can't cover them all in one. So we'll definitely have, we'll cover a lot, and you'll be able to walk away with a financial plan that is going to serve you and your family and not just be put into any products. Okay. So I wanted to leave with that, but the word or the last thought that I'll leave, I said it earlier, guys, do something. Right? Do something. Don't just sit on information. I gave you guys 2 things to think about earlier today, like a Roth IRA, the Index Universal Life. Those are products that if you don't know much about them, go research and then do something with the information that you find. Those 2 products alone can bring not just tens of thousands, but maybe even hundreds of thousands to your bottom line because of what they do for you and on the back end, on the in the future of your plan. So making sure that you're protecting your money from taxes, making sure you're protecting it from downside risk. You got to do something when you have that information. So that's what I'll leave. I hope that more of you will say that you're interested. I see a couple already. And if you don't win, you have my information. You can definitely reach out and we can help you on your own personal journey.
That's what's good. So thank you both so much. Really, really informative. a couple of tips that I got, and I've been in other conversations with you all, and I learned something new today. So thanks so much for that. Again, if you want to donate to the Good Lounge, thegoodlounge.org/donate, or we also have a donation open on the Instagram handle. All the donations go to the resources that we give away. So if you are someone who wants to do that, feel free. If not, we enjoy having you in our sessions regardless. Even if you never give a donation, we want to make sure you get these tips and resources. I look forward to seeing you all at the next event. We actually will have an in-person event. I think, Brandi, we're working out timing for an in-person event with you in Houston. So be on the lookout for more information on that. And please subscribe if you're following on YouTube. Please follow us on LinkedIn if you're doing that, or on our Instagram. We are excited about having more sessions, and we got it in before Financial Literacy Month ended. So we're back and excited to have more of our physical, financial, and emotional well-being sessions, because sustainable well-being is what's good. Hope everybody has a good night, and we look forward to seeing you on the next session.
Take care. Bye-bye,
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.